I'm standing in the middle of our open plan office at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday, and my boss, Derek, is telling me to pack my things while literally everyone pretends to look at their screens. The fluorescent lights are doing that annoying flicker thing they always do after lunch. My coffee's still warm in my hand. I can hear someone's Slack notifications going off in rapid succession, that little bloop, bloop, bloop sound. And I'm just frozen, because 3 minutes ago I was employee of the quarter. Now I'm being escorted out like I stole something. What Derek didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I'd spent the last 6 months having very different conversations about this company's future. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to October of last year. I'd been at Tech Connect Solutions for 4 years. We did corporate software implementation, boring stuff, honestly. But the pay was solid, and I actually liked solving the puzzles of integrating systems that had no business talking to each other. I was a senior integration specialist, which basically meant I fixed everyone else's mistakes and put out fires. My desk was in the back corner by the kitchen, and I could hear every single conversation people had while making coffee. This detail becomes important later. Derek had been my boss for about 18 months. He was one of those guys who took credit for team wins and blamed individuals for losses. You know the type. He'd forward your email to the client with his name on it, or he'd present your solution in meetings like he'd thought of it himself. Classic middle management move. The thing is, I didn't really care about the credit. I cared about the work. And our biggest client, Meridian Financial, had systems held together with digital duct tape and prayers. I'd spent 2 years building them a custom integration that actually worked. Like, genuinely worked. Their CFO told me directly it saved them close to $2 million annually in redundancies and errors. That was in a phone call on a Tuesday morning in October. I remember because I was eating those honey-roasted peanuts from the vending machine and trying not to crunch too loud. The CFO, Patricia, said something that stuck with me. She said, "You know, Maya, if you ever decide to do your own thing, we'd follow you. Derek's nice enough, but you're the one who actually understands our infrastructure." I laughed it off. But then she said it again in an email later that day. "Serious offer. Think about it." I didn't think about it. Not then, anyway. But Patricia kept the door open, and honestly, I should have walked through it immediately. Because what happened next was Derek systematically trying to edge me out of my own project. It started small. Mid-November, Derek stopped CCing me on client emails. I'd find out about meetings after they happened. When I asked him about it, standing by his desk while he ate his sad desk salad, he said, "Oh, I'm just trying to reduce your workload." "You seem stressed." I wasn't stressed. My workload was fine. But okay, whatever. Then in early December, he started introducing a new guy, Brad, to the Meridian project. Brad was hired as a strategic consultant, which is corporate speak for, we're not sure what he does, but he has an MBA. Derek would bring Brad to meetings with me and literally repeat things I'd just said, but in Brad's direction, like he was translating. "So Maya, explain the API integration to Brad." I'd explain it. "See, Brad? So basically what we're doing is connecting their systems through a custom API solution." Yes, that's what I just said. For 5 minutes, my coworker Jen, she sat 2 desks over, started giving me these looks. She'd catch my eye during meetings and slightly shake her head. During our coffee break one afternoon, standing by the window where you could see the parking lot and that weird tree that was always full of crows, she finally said it out loud. "He's setting you up." "For what?" "To take your project and give it to Brad. I've seen this before. He did it to Marcus last year. I should have listened. But I thought, no, I'm too valuable. I built this whole thing. They need me wrong. You know that feeling when you realize you've been naive? Like you can pinpoint the exact moment your brain catches up to what your gut already knew? That moment came in January during our quarterly review meeting. Derek presented the Meridian project success to the entire company. PowerPoint slides, charts showing cost savings, client testimonials, my work, my documentation, my 2 years of late nights and weekend debugging sessions, and he said, I literally have this written down because I couldn't believe it. He said, "This success is really thanks to Brad's strategic oversight and the team's execution." The team. Not me specifically. The team. Brad sat there nodding like he'd done anything except forward emails and asked me to explain technical concepts repeatedly. I felt my face get hot. That specific kind of heat that starts in your chest and crawls up your neck. My hands were shaking slightly when I opened my laptop, so I put them under the table. Jen caught my eye across the conference room and mouthed, "I'm sorry." After the meeting, I went straight to Derek's office. The door was half open. He was on his phone, laughing about something. I knocked anyway. Derek, we need to talk about that presentation. He looked up, still smiling. Great stuff, right? Really shows what the team can accomplish. I built that integration. Every single component. You know that? His smile got smaller but didn't disappear. Maya, this isn't about individual credit. We succeed as a team here. You mentioned Brad by name. Brad's been instrumental in client relations. Brad joined 3 months ago. Derek's smile finally dropped. Is there a problem here, Maya? Because if you're struggling with team dynamics, we might need to discuss whether this role is the right fit. I know this sounds like I should have quit right there. And you're right. But here's what you need to understand. I wasn't ready. Not yet. Because I'd been doing something Derek didn't know about. Remember Patricia from Meridian? We'd been having conversations. Not just about work, about business. About how corporate software consulting was ripe for disruption. About how the people doing the actual work rarely got the rewards or recognition. In late November, right around when Derek started his whole exclusion campaign, Patricia introduced me to her colleague, James, who ran a venture capital firm. We met for coffee at this place downtown that made their own syrups. I remember the lavender latte was weirdly good. James asked me detailed questions about the integration work, about pain points in the industry, about what I'd do differently if I could build something from scratch. It felt theoretical, like a fun thought exercise. Then in early January, about a week before that quarterly review meeting, James sent me an email with a subject line that said, "Serious proposal." He wanted to fund a startup. My startup, specifically focused on mid-market financial institutions who needed custom integration work. Patricia's company would be the anchor client. He had 2 other companies ready to sign letters of intent. I'd have to leave Tech Connect, obviously, but I'd own the company. Keep the equity, build the team I wanted. I was reading this email at my desk, trying not to react visibly when Derek walked past and said, "Don't forget the team meeting in 5. The irony wasn't lost on me. Okay, so here's where I maybe should have just given notice professionally and moved on like an adult. But I didn't, because what happened next made that impossible. It was a Wednesday in late January. I'd been quietly working with a lawyer to set up the business structure, using my lunch breaks and evenings. I hadn't told anyone at work. The plan was to give professional notice, offer to help transition my projects, leave on good terms. Then I came in that Wednesday morning to find Brad sitting at my desk, not near my desk. At my desk, using my monitor, my keyboard. My coffee mug, the one my sister gave me with the stupid joke about semicolons on it, was in the kitchen sink. Brad? What's happening?" He looked up, startled. "Oh, Derek didn't tell you? I'm taking over the Meridian account. He said you're transitioning to some internal projects." Internal projects. That's corporate speak for busy work until we figure out how to fire you. I found Derek in the conference room setting up for the 9 a.m. all-hands meeting. He saw me coming and his expression did this thing, this shift from neutral to defensively annoyed. "Maya, morning. Why is Brad at my desk?" I reassigned the workspace to better reflect current project ownership. Current project ownership. My project that I built. "Derek, what internal projects am I supposedly working on?" He glanced at his watch. That classic move when someone wants you to know you're wasting their time. "We'll discuss your new role after the all hands. Right now, I need to prep." The meeting started at 9:02. The whole company crammed into our main conference room and the overflow sitting in the doorway. Probably 35 people total. Derek stood at the front with his laptop connected to the projector. "Morning, everyone. Great quarter, really proud of this team. I want to highlight some wins and discuss our strategic direction moving forward." He clicked through slides. Project updates. Revenue numbers. Client retention stats. Then he got to a slide titled Team Optimizations. I felt my stomach drop before he even started talking. As we scale, we need to ensure we have the right people in the right roles. Sometimes that means making difficult decisions about fit. He was looking at me. Not obviously, but I knew. Effective immediately, we're restructuring our client services team. Brad will be taking full ownership of the Meridian account. I don't know what came over me. I just started laughing. Not a polite laugh. A real, slightly unhinged laugh that made everyone turn around. Derek stopped mid-sentence. "Is something funny, Maya?" And here's where I should have stayed quiet. Should have let it go. But I was so tired. So tired of watching mediocre men take credit for women's work. So tired of being professional while being disrespected. Yeah, actually, Derek, it's hilarious. Because Brad couldn't explain what an API is if his life depended on it, and you're giving him my project. The one I built from literally nothing. The one saving Meridian $2 million annually. The room went dead silent. Someone's phone buzzed. Someone else coughed awkwardly. Derek's face went red. Maya, this is inappropriate. We can discuss your concerns privately. No, I don't think we will. Because you don't actually want to discuss anything? You want me gone so Brad, who is what, your college buddy's nephew, can take credit for my work. Just like you've been doing for months. Jen had her hand over her mouth. Other people were staring at their laptops. Brad looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. Derek's voice went cold. Maya, you need to leave this meeting right now. Gladly, I stood up. Grabbed my bag. And Derek, I swear I don't know what he was thinking. Derek said loudly to the whole room, Actually, Maya, let's make this simple. You're fired. Pack your things. HR will send your final paperwork. Just like that. In front of everyone. No private conversation. No documentation. Just fired in front of 35 coworkers because I called him out. The room was so quiet you could hear the ventilation system humming. Looking back now, that might have been the best career move Derek ever made for me. Just not in the way he intended. I walked out. Got in my car. Sat in the parking lot for like 20 minutes just breathing. My hands were shaking from adrenaline. I felt humiliated and vindicated and terrified all at once. Then my phone buzzed. Text from Jen. Holy shit. That was insane. Also, HR is freaking out. Pretty sure Derek can't just fire you like that. Another text, this time from Patricia at Meridian. Did something just happen? Derek called me panicking about project continuity. I called Patricia back. Told her everything, the firing, the credit stealing, all of it. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, So here's the thing, Maya. Our contract with Tech Connect has a clause about key personnel. You're listed as essential to the project. If you're no longer with the company, we can terminate for cause. Seriously. Seriously. And between you and me, we've been unhappy with Derek's communication for months. You're the only reason we stayed. I sat there in my car, watching a bird hop around the parking lot and made a decision. Patricia, remember that startup idea? I'm in, let's do it, she laughed. I was hoping you'd say that. Let me call James. The next 3 weeks were chaos. I met with James and his team. We formalized the business structure. I owned 65%. James's firm owned 25%. Patricia's company owned 10% in exchange for being the anchor client. 2 other mid-size financial companies signed on based on Patricia's recommendation. Meridian terminated their contract with Tech Connect. Derek apparently tried to convince them Brad could handle it. Patricia very politely told him that wasn't going to work. Then the fun part happened. Tech Connect started losing other clients. Turns out when you fire your best specialist in front of the entire company, people notice. Word gets around. Especially when those clients get calls from the specialist offering better, more personalized service at competitive rates. I didn't poach anyone. I didn't have to. They called me by March. Tech Connect was hemorrhaging revenue. I heard through Jen, who still worked there, that Derek was in serious trouble with the ownership. They'd lost 3 major accounts in 2 months. Then in early April, I got an email from Tech Connect's ownership group. They wanted to meet. I showed up to a coffee shop in a better suit than I'd ever worn to the office. 2 of the 3 owners were there, Robert and Susan. They looked tired. Robert got straight to it. We made a mistake with Derek. We should have listened to the client feedback about his management style months ago. Okay. Susan leaned forward. We're restructuring. Derek is no longer with the company. We want to hire you back. Name your price. I took a sip of my coffee. Regular drip, nothing fancy this time. Let them wait. I appreciate the offer. But I'm not interested in being an employee again. Robert frowned. Then what? I'm interested in being a partner. My company acquires your client services division. I bring my clients, you bring your remaining infrastructure. We split it 60-40 my favor. They weren't expecting that. But here's the thing about desperate people. They consider options they normally wouldn't. We negotiated for 3 weeks. In the end, I didn't acquire their division. Instead, my company became their largest contractor, with exclusive rights to their client base and a partnership structure that gave me significant influence over operations. Essentially, I became one of the company's key investors and strategic partners. The company that fired me now depends on my business to survive. I saw Derek once after all this. At an industry conference in June, he walked past me, saw me, and literally turned around and went the other direction. Jen texted me later. He looked like he saw a ghost. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't enjoy that moment. I'm petty enough to admit it felt good, but honestly, the best part isn't the revenge or the karma or whatever you want to call it. It's that I'm doing the work I love, on my terms, with clients who actually value what I bring. I have a team of 6 now. We're profitable. I own my success. And sometimes, when I'm working late and problem-solving some complex integration issue, I think about that Thursday afternoon when Derek fired me in front of everyone. How humiliated I felt. How small. I don't feel small anymore. And Derek? Last I heard, he's a strategic consultant somewhere. Which, as we established, means nobody's quite sure what he does. Full circle, I guess.